Hello again. Christina Forbes, wife of seriously injured worker Lauren Forbes. So we're just going to take off right from where I left off. We were talking about how a PFI award is calculated. So we, ran through all of that. Here's their little example that they give you. Oh, pardon me. So there we are. Okay. So what if you disagree with the PFI award that you've been given? If you have questions about your PFI, you should review the decision letter and any information you receive with a decision with your doctor. If you disagree with the award, you can appeal the decision. If you need, you will need evidence from your doctor that says how the medical examiner's findings are incomplete or shows different findings. For example, your doctor could find a greater loss of motion, a different level of amputation, more weakness, or something that the WCB missed altogether. You will need this evidence to have a chance of winning an appeal on a PFI award. I love how they say that. To have a chance. Really? Even if you do have the evidence, you still have no fucking chance. So we'll just move right on. What happens if your condition changes while receiving a PFI award? The WCB will look at your PFI award again if your condition gets better or worse. If your condition is worse since your last pension examination, then your doctor should tell the WCB. If the case manager finds that the change in your condition is permanent, then your claim will be referred to the Disability Awards Department for an examination, and a new decision on permanent disability will be made. So, loss of earnings award. This is really what I wanted to get to. So, what happens if you cannot go back to work? Well, what happens if you can't go back to work? You've exhausted everything, Lots of questions considering, injured workers live day by day when dealing with workers' compensation. So what happens if you cannot go back to work? If you cannot go back to your old job, you may be entitled to a loss of earnings award. Lauren's vocational rehabilitation consultants in the last 17 and a half months have neglected to mention that to us. So, to be assessed for a loss of earnings award, you pass the So Exceptional test. Your disability and the effects of your disability on your occupation must be so exceptional that your PFI award does not properly compensate you. I'm sorry. I just have to throw this up there for shits and giggles. The So fucking Exceptional test. Excuse me here. Let me just... Oh, look at that. To be assessed for an LOE award, you must pass the So Exceptional test. Your disability and the effect of your disability on your occupation, must be so exceptional that your PFI award does not properly compensate you. Wow. So, what is the So Exceptional test? The WCB applies a three-part process to what is referred to as the So Exceptional test to decide if you will be assessed for loss of earnings. First, the WCB must find that your occupation at the time of your injury involves specific skills that are necessary for that occupation and similar occupations. Second, the WCB must find that as a result of your injury, you no longer have the specific skills necessary for that occupation and similar occupations. Third, the WCB must find that as a result of your injury, you cannot work in that occupation, a similar occupation, or other suitable occupation without suffering a significant loss of earnings. So, just because, in case we didn't know, occupation or similar occupation and specific skills. The word occupation means more than your pre-injury job. It is a group of related jobs which need similar skills. The WCB uses the National Occupation Classification System, known as the NOC, to determine your occupation using a 4-digit group code. Nothing like chalking you up to fucking numbers, Wow. For example, if you were a welder, your occupation will fall into the broader occupational group of metal forming, shaping, and erecting trades. The word similar occupation means occupation which needs similar skills. Similar occupations use the first 3 digits of the NOC code. The word skills means the knowledge and ability needed to do the job. The WCB will look at your ability to perform the skills of the occupation, not your ability to perform your actual pre-injury job. If your occupation at the time of your injury involves specific skills that are necessary for that occupation or similar occupations, then you will meet the first step of the So Exceptional test. So, 2. Unable to return to occupation or similar occupation. The WCB will look at whether or not you have the essential skills to return to your occupation or a similar occupation. If your disability makes it impossible for you to return to your occupation or a similar occupation, then you meet the second part of the So Exceptional test. So here we are here. We're just going to show you that. Yep, believe it or not, that's exactly what it says. If your disability makes it impossible for you to return to your occupation or a similar occupation, then you meet part 2 of the So Exceptional test. Part 3. Unable to adapt to another suitable occupation without incurring a loss of earnings. So if the WCB has decided that you cannot use your skills to return to your pre-injury or similar occupation, they will consider whether or not you can adapt to another suitable occupation. The WCB will consider the effects of your disability, your skills, your education, your training, and your previous work experience to determine whether or not you can adapt to another suitable occupation. If you can adapt to another suitable occupation, the WCB will look at whether or not your PFI appropriately compensates you, or whether or not you will suffer a significant loss of earnings. If you can return to another suitable occupation and you will still suffer a significant loss of earnings, you will be assessed for a partial loss of earnings award. If you cannot adapt to another occupation, the WCB will look at whether or not if you cannot adapt to another suitable occupation, the WCB will look at whether or not your PFI appropriately compensates you or whether you will suffer a significant loss of earnings. If you suffer a significant loss of earnings, you will be assessed for a loss of earnings award. So, how will the loss of earnings be assessed? If you meet all 3 parts of the So Exceptional test, I can't get over that. So Exceptional test. Oh, pardon me. Let me just find that there. So Exceptional test. The Disability Awards Department will ask for a vocational rehabilitation consultant to write an employability assessment. This assessment is a recommendation to the Disabilities Award setting out your long-term earnings potential over the next 3 to 5 years. The VRC will consider whether there is any retraining that might help increase your long-term earnings potential. So, the vocational rehabilitation consultant will provide you with a copy of the employability assessment. You have 30 days to write the Disability Awards Department to explain what you disagree with. The Disabilities Award Department will consider the employability assessment and your response. So, the Disability Awards Department will decide what you are able to earn in a suitable and reasonably available occupation in the long-term pay pay you an LOE award. So there's quite a bit to go with that whole So Exceptional test. So if you receive an LOE award, how will it be compensated? Not much, and they're impossible to get. I'm just about running at the 10-minute marker, and I could actually go on a little bit more on the whole loss of earnings award and how it'll actually be calculated. But just given the base of what they've got here, if your average net earnings were $3,500 per month, and then your average net earnings after injury were $1,500 per month, they bump it up about $500 or whatever it says here to $200 or $2,000 per month, and then the compensation factor. So I don't know how they do their math. It says 2,000 times 90% equals $1,800 per month. So loss of earnings award would be $1,800 per month. So you would get an additional, by the looks of it, $300 per month to live off of. Let me just focus in on that. So, peanuts. absolute fucking peanuts. It's ridiculous. We're going to talk about lost earnings awards more, exactly where Lauren sits in this whole mess, and thank you very much.